Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Family Writing Journey. I'm Michael.
I'm Sunny.
And I'm Matthew.
We're a dad, a mom, and a teenage son. We each recently took up fiction writing. We're definitely not experts, but we hope you'll enjoy hearing about our journey and maybe get inspired to start your own. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Family Writing Journey. Today, we have a super special episode because we are on our first ever Fall Writers Retreat.
Woo! Yeah.
Yay! So we are here, myself, and who else have we got?
Matthew.
And
Sunny.
And a special guest,
Sarah,
my sister-in-law. So the four of us are here in Hemlock, New York. We got an Airbnb, and we're gonna have a writing retreat. So our lives are really busy, and
well, not mine, but you guys have busy lives.
Well, you're back in school.
I got some
things
stuff,
are busy-ish. So anyway, we decided to have a weekend to have a writing retreat. We've heard about them, and it seemed like a great idea. I know personally, I am very tempted to mow the lawn and take care of the dog and do various other chores at home. And here we're going to be sort of isolated and having fun and getting some writing done. Go ahead.
So in part one tonight, we're just going to talk a little bit. We just all arrived at the house. We're getting settled in. We're going to talk for a few minutes about where we each are with our projects and what we're going to do. And then there'll be a part two to this recording at the end. So it's kind of an exciting before and after, and we'll see how it goes.
It's exciting for us.
Yeah. So I'll start, unless we want to start with Sarah introducing herself briefly. Do you want to say hi first?
Yeah, and well, tell us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell us what you're writing.
so I'm Sarah. I am writing a romance mystery, sort of towards the cozy mystery end of things, nothing gruesome or horrible, and sort of toward the more gentle romance end of things. So the combination will hopefully end up being a little bit of everything that I love, because those are two things that are, near and dear to my heart: love and mystery, which I don't have any of in my actual life. So,
No.
I mean, the mystery, love,
Right.
lots of, yes. So,
Write the book you want to read.
that's
say.
right. That's right. Yes.
And so your plans for the weekend, what you want to accomplish?
Well, my major goal is that I have reached a pivotal point in the book. I'm halfway through the book, and my main characters need to have their first love scene. And I have never written a love scene, and I've certainly read them, but I've never written one, and I am procrastinating. I have spent far too long writing the chapter that comes before it because I am scared to write this chapter. So I'm really hopeful for this weekend that having time and space and quiet without any interruptions will motivate me to just push through this chapter, whether it's good or bad or what. That's
Nice.
my goal.
Why do you think you've been kind of held up on writing it?
Because it's a love scene, and it feels very, I don't know, it just feels very nerve-wracking to me. I don't know how to write that yet. So since I've never done it, I'm going to just do my best to put something on the paper. And then I know that I love to revise, and I'm constantly going back. So I know if I can just get something on the paper, I will go back. And it's a computer, not a paper, but I'll go back and then I'll make it better. But I need to get over this hump and just start writing some things down. So
Yeah,
that's my.
I can't remember that quote that I said a while back from somebody much more talented than us, but it was something like, you can revise bad words, but you can't revise no words.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's certainly my general mindset. Just write a bunch of low quality stuff and just
Mhm.
see what I can do from there.
So what are your plans then, Matthew, for the weekend? What do you want to accomplish here?
Well, so I'm sort of in the middle of my book. I'm about 6 chapters in or so. So that's about a third of the way, or a quarter maybe. And so I'm just going to keep chugging along. I should probably get, I don't know how much I'm going to write, but I plan on using the time effectively and not spending too much time doing other activities, reading or watching TV or anything.
Yeah, I don't know for myself. I wanted the time, and hopefully I'll use it. I will need to break it up, right? I can't just write for, hours and hours on end. At least I don't know that I maybe I can.
Right. I never have, but
Right.
When have
maybe
you
we
ever
can.
had the opportunity to? I
Exactly.
mean, for me,
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity to sit down and write for hours and hours on end. I mean, every time I sit down to write, I have maybe an hour, and then I have something else I have to do or get interrupted by something I think I should be doing. And so to just have this opportunity to sit and do that if I want to, I mean, that's kind of,
Yeah.
it's worth trying. Who knows? Maybe we're all able to write for 8 hours straight and we just don't know.
Right. I think this will be a nice test to sort of
Yeah.
see that out. You know, only going to be distracted by all the tremendous snacks that we brought and the nice location, and you know, hopefully that won't deter me from getting some good work done. I'm starting a new book, so I still am probably going to do some editing, but I finished a round of editing on my first draft of my fantasy book. I'm going to write a totally new book. I did a little plot summary mostly last night. So I'm starting off, and the only thing I have written so far is chapter 1. So we'll see what I
Do you mean
accomplish
you've
between now.
written the entire chapter 1?
No,
Or
no,
you've
I
written the
literally
words
wrote
chapter 1. Okay.
Yes, words chapter 1.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm kind of with you, Michael, because I know I told our audience a little while back that I was starting a cozy.
Our audience.
Well, you know. But I don't know. For some reason, I just couldn't get engaged in the cozy mystery. I don't know. I didn't have the enthusiasm for it. I wrote a couple chapters. I just felt like it wasn't even interesting me. So
So you
anyway,
move on.
so yeah,
Well,
so
table it and don't. Yeah.
right. So I'm tabling it, and maybe we'll come back to it. But I decided to go ahead with another fantasy novel, but a fantasy novel that has a stronger dose of actually both mystery and romance. So I'm kind of pulling those pieces together, but rather than having it be a mystery romance in the everyday world, it's in a more interesting world and it's got some other fantasy elements. So I have done some really extensive, unlike you, Michael, I've done some really extensive plotting over the last 2 weeks or so.
That's great. I'm envious of that. That's good.
Yeah. And that's kind of my style anyway. I'm not a seat of the pants kind of writer. So I have a pretty in-depth chapter outline that I'm ready to go with. But like you, I haven't started anything. So I haven't even written chapter 1 on the first page yet. But I don't have a goal in terms of like a specific number of words or anything, but I really hope that I can get a couple of chapters underway so that when I leave this weekend, I'll really feel like I've kind of got my teeth into this project.
Yeah, that's great. And what we'll do, we're going to have a short episode right now, and then we're going to do, when we leave on Sunday, we'll have a follow-up short episode. We'll combine them. So you guys are hearing our voices now, and hopefully our next ones aren't going to be all sad. Hopefully we'll be energized by all the work we have accomplished.
Does anyone else, I know Sarah said that she had a specific kind of hurdle that she was getting over with the love scene. Do either of you guys have a particular goal for the weekend?
I think the opposite. I think I have the opposite of a hurdle, which is I'm coming up on sort of a more exciting section of my book than the previous has been. So I think it should go pretty well, I'm hoping.
Are you thinking to yourself that you want to write a certain number of words or certain
No,
number
I'm
of
just not thinking.
chapters?
I'm just gonna take it as it comes.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to. I mean, it's supposed to be, the writing's supposed to be fun
Right.
at the end of the day.
Right.
What? Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I'm the same way. I just want to. I don't have any particular goals. So
I want to write a lot though,
yeah.
but I don't want to put a number to it.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Unless anyone has anything else, we're going to stop now, and then there won't be much of a break for you guys listening. But we're going to have a day and a half of writing, and then we'll get back with you. Bye.
Bye.
Wish us luck.
And we're back. Due to the magic of recording and also time travel, a second or two has passed for you, but a day and a half has passed for us. We're at the end of our retreat. It is Sunday morning, and we have all had, I think, an awesome time and gotten a lot of good writing done. So I'm going to pass it right along to see what Sunny wants to say about our retreat.
Well, thanks. I totally agree. It was amazing. I think we're going to start with just quick updates on kind of where we were with things. I told everybody that I was starting a new book, So that was a little daunting. I was worried that I'd have trouble getting into it, but my goal was to kind of get those first couple of chapters underway, which I totally did. I wrote, I don't know a final count, but probably around 6,000 words, and I got the first 2 chapters really pretty solid. So yeah, I would say for me, really a big success. And I also had a chance to read out loud to you guys, which was kind of a little daunting, but also that was good feedback.
All right, Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, so my goal had been to work through a difficult scene, something I'd never done before, to write a love scene in my romance, and I did it. I finished the chapter. They went all the way. It was fantastic.
Oh my.
And yeah, and it was awesome to have the time and the peace to just focus on it, and then also to bounce the feedback off of my story, because I actually allowed Sunny to read this chapter, shocking myself and probably her also. And but the feedback that she gave me was incredibly helpful, and also helped to sort of solidify for me that I need to stretch a little bit more. I need to bring people in and allow first readers, which I've never done before, and look for that feedback, because it was so helpful to hear, what she had to say about it. So I had a fantastic time and wrote more than I've written in ages. So lovely.
Excellent. Matthew?
I also had a great weekend. I did a lot of writing. I wrote, I don't know exactly, like 11,000 words or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably more
that's
than
a
the
lot.
rest of us.
Yeah.
And you were halfway or partway through a book.
Yes, I'd finished chapter 6 when I got here, and now I've finished chapter 10, I think. And I also added in a couple other perspectives from a different character, which was interesting to do, even though not a lot happened with it. And I don't know, my writing is very rough. Like, I just write it straight and don't look back ever. So maybe I'll look back in a week or two or a month or two and see that everything I wrote this weekend was horrible. But I feel good about it because I got a lot done, and it felt natural. Like it flowed along pretty well.
Yeah. And for myself, I wrote I wrote exactly 7,033 words. So I know exactly what I did. It was great. I started a new book, so I got a fair bit of writing done. And as Sarah said, some of us shared our work a little bit. So I wrote a little bit that first night, so Friday night, and then that evening read several paragraphs that I had written at first and got some instant feedback. And it's just kind of cool. And I like doing that. It was rough, but I didn't mind feedback on my rough work just because it's always helpful. So it was great.
And I thought your writing, that at least what I heard this weekend, was really good, especially compared to some of your previous stuff.
You didn't have to say that last part. No, it's true. And that is my goal, just to get better. And I agree. I imagine that it was better.
Yeah, because a lot of time has passed since you wrote your original book.
Yeah.
Or actually wrote the first draft, at least.
Right. So I have not written a lot. I wrote January, February, and March, and then I spent the next several months editing. And so this has just been my return to writing, which felt really positive. So
yeah, I wondered about that, because you have been spending a lot of time on editing. So it felt good to get back to just actually telling your story. A new story.
I like that in two ways, right? I did all that editing and had gotten a bunch of feedback. So I feel like this writing will be better based on having the feedback and also based on some of that editing. And I know I'm still going to have to do editing, but hopefully, a little less to get a decent story this second go around. Yeah. So it was quite positive.
So what were the things that really made this weekend work for everybody?
For me, I feel like just not letting yourself think about doing other things. Like, normally on a weekend, I don't have responsibilities all the time necessarily, but there's other things that are just habits that I like to do, but also that impede on my writing time. Like, I feel good on a normal weekend if I write 1,000 words Saturday, Sunday, but now I've written a lot more because that's just all I was focusing on this whole weekend. And I didn't write for 14 hours every day, but when I wasn't writing, I was thinking about writing, or I was talking about my writing, you know?
That's what I thought was really cool. And I think we get a little bit of that at home. But to me, I think one of the things that made it really feel like it really was a writer's weekend was that even though we were having fun and, we're a family, so we had pizza and we hung out, but for the most part, there was a definite consistent feel of writing the whole time. People were either writing, going in and out, doing their thing, or talking about writing or sharing or asking for feedback.
Or eating bagels.
Well, yeah, you got to have a lot of snacks on a retreat. But, I really felt like that sort of atmosphere of writing was the thing that is hard to get if you're just in your daily life.
I loved being able to write all weekend, because like Matthew said, I could write on my own schedule and all of that. But honestly, I'm a mom, so writing without guilt was so freeing to be able to write and not have a constant voice in the back of my head that said I should be doing something different with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was, because this weekend I just I gave myself over to that process. When I left the house on Friday to come here, I told myself I wasn't going to think about the things that I would normally feel guilty about. If I spent 2 hours writing at home, I would hear my kids playing in the yard and think I should be playing with my kids. And that I think is kind of stifling to my creative process, and certainly stifling to a love scene. So,
No
so
doubt.
I needed this space to just really let myself, to be immersed in my story without guilt, because it's crippling to have that kind of laying over the top of your work, especially when you're trying to write scenes that are, hard for you for whatever reason. So
I'm wondering if because I totally get that. And I agree with that. We've talked a lot about writing habits, but did you get anything from the weekend that you think you could take back to your everyday life?
I think that, being, taking it seriously and having the conversation with other people who are also taking it seriously made me feel like a real writer, not just a mom who dabbles at writing when the kids are at school, but it felt professional. And I loved that sense of like that I deserved to give myself the space to do it. And so I hope to go home and shed some of the guilt and let myself feel that sense of real writer in my home where, I haven't before. So that's what I hope to take home.
That's great. I didn't even really think about that aspect of things. Different stage of life, so I don't have guilt about writing. And there's certainly distractions, but
right.
Yeah, that's kind of heavy. That's great. I think that's really nice if you can take that away. It was an interesting weekend. I mean, we're talking as if we had this long retreat. It was really, Friday night and all day yesterday. And now this morning we sort of wrote a little bit and then we, packed up. And so it was really short. I can only imagine if we had more time, how different we might come away thinking about things. But despite it being really short, it was just great. Like you said, we would write and talk about writing, and I did every now and then have to sort of escape, like, cause it is easy just to talk too much about writing. So I would sort of sneak off into a bedroom. And I think that would be a critical thing. Not that we would forget, but to think about in the future, assuming we do this again, which I'm pretty certain we're all feeling we will, is to have some separate space too, right? But also that nice communal area. It really all worked together really nicely. Of course, we had nice weather too. That helped.
Yeah, I think, like you sort of said, just like adding a second full day, like if we could leave Monday morning instead of Sunday morning, I think that would be great. So we could have Saturday and Sunday as like full writing days.
Yeah, because I woke up this morning,
which obviously is dependent on work schedules, but
yeah.
And I had gone to bed last night thinking about ideas for my story, thinking about some of the nearly midnight conversation that we had last night. And then I woke up and I was excited to start, but I really only had, maybe an hour or something in my room this morning. So yeah, there's always that feeling that.
Yeah, this morning felt like any other day that we write, where yes, you have a little time to write, but you've got to pack, you got to get out of here by 11 or whatever.
Right.
So some limitations, but still great. Anything unexpected?
I shocked myself by doing this podcast. I am
Yay,
this
podcaster.
this is not my usual style, and but I loved that I shocked myself with it, and I certainly shocked myself by allowing Sunny to read my chapter, and I also read a few paragraphs out loud to the group, to Michael and Matthew and Sunny. So all of those things were totally unexpected for me. I think I thought I would come here and exist on the edges of the group activity, certainly. Maybe
you're
observe, but apparently I surprised myself, and I probably surprised everyone. So I don't know. That was unexpected and a pleasure. So
that's great. I expected you to fit right into the fold, but any other things that were unexpected? Probably not. I think we all sort of had a vague idea or a rough idea.
I didn't say it out loud. I had a goal to write at least 10,000 words. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to feel guilty if I didn't, because obviously it's very dependent on how the writing is going, but I am happy that I accomplished that.
Yeah. I did have a back of my mind thought for 10,000 as well. But I feel fine. I probably could have done that, but I as I was writing, I was sort of going back a little bit. I'm still trying to find out how
the beginning of a book is a very important part that takes a little more thought, I think.
Yeah, and I think I might have thought I would write a little more than I did, but because I was writing the first chapter, I was definitely feeling a little bit like, well, you all know, because I shared my kind of unease with you. Is it exciting enough? But have I done enough to balance, telling the reader a little bit about the world so it's not confusing, but also hooking the reader? Like, I think I was much more in my head with the first chapter than I normally am with my writing. I normally just kind of toss it out, but I feel like I was a little bit more. So I don't know that was unexpected. It's just that it's like you say, starting a new book is a little bit of a different feel.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're getting close to wrapping things up. We're going to have to get out of here is the main reason. Any suggestions or thoughts about future retreats?
I mean, I think it would be great to do it again. I do think that things that make you feel like part of a group are really helpful in life, in general, when you want to do something, especially if it's a little bit of a stretch for you, having some support, having the, it's like your accountability partner at the gym. Mm-hmm. So to me, I feel like something like this reinforces that we do have a group. And I think a retreat is lovely. We're at an amazing place. We're at this really peaceful, quiet Airbnb. It's great. But I think we could capture a little bit of the spirit too, just by, an occasional, have a 7:00 Wednesday night get together and just talk about our books for an hour or two.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it might be important to also think about like, what's the ideal, but then also what can you make work in your regular life to keep the spirit of it.
What I sort of want to do, sorry, this isn't really answering your question. It's sort of a tangent, I guess.
Stay on topic, Matthew. No, go ahead.
I think I could devote a Saturday to just writing, like just at home. If I can leave my responsibilities till Sunday or get it done Friday night, whatever, and just not do anything else on Saturday. I don't know how able I will be to make myself do that if I'm just at home, but I think it would be interesting to try out something like that, writing more.
Well, and again, it could be interesting to, text each other and say, hey, it's a Saturday challenge. Lock yourself in your room, for 4 hours and report back on how you do, something that kind of reinforces that you're not the only one doing it. It's probably hardest for you, Sarah, because again, you've got younger kids and.
Right. And they are not going to participate. So it is, I think it's a really beautiful thing that your family is doing it together, because to have
you're part of the family there.
Oh, of course. But to have your unit at home, to have your mom say, go to your room for 4 hours and write your story, Matthew. I think that seems like a pretty lovely thing. If someone could tell me to go to my room and write for 4 hours, that would be great. But it is difficult for me to find the time. And it is difficult to find the time without the guilt. So, like I said, I'm gonna try to remember this feeling I've had of enjoying, writing without worry. And so as far as suggestions for a future retreat, I just hope we do it again.
Next fall.
I think a year is too long to wait. I think we should do it again. And I like that it says Fall Writers Retreat on our screen right now, because I think we could do it seasonally. I'm pretty sure there's a winter writers retreat in us somewhere, and a spring and summer. So
I really love I had not even thought of it, for this last question.
Whose idea was it initially? Because this is such a good idea.
Oh, the retreat was my idea.
It was
for
Dad's
sure.
idea. Yeah.
But no, that's not what I meant. Like, what I meant was I hadn't even thought that we would take away from this things to do every day. So, the three of you have just said over the last few minutes things that you might do at home based on the retreat. Sarah, you're going to try to carve out time, really make sure that you do it and get rid of some of the guilt. And, Sunny and Matthew, you guys have said that, Sunny, you've said you want to find time to sort of make that community aspect why we're doing this whole family writing journey in the first place, try to make that happen more. And Matthew, you said you're going to try to block bigger times. And I just think that's awesome. I hadn't even thought that we might take something useful from the retreat in that sense. I just thought, the retreat is a time to do a bunch of writing and think about it, and then we'll do it again, and that'll be great. So anyway, I'm very, very pleased by what you guys have said, and I'll try to take that to heart too.
And I think it's good if people are listening and thinking about this, also to remember that everybody's different. So like what can work for Sarah in her life is going to be different than what can work for me, because we have different lives, we have different responsibilities. So not to beat yourself up if you can't close your door for 4 hours, so still keep the spirit of I'm a writer and I'm enjoying this. And this is like, a thing that is really cool.
I'm just so glad I got to close the door for 4 hours with this particular chapter.
Yeah.
Because it was essential and just serendipitous that this chapter happened to coincide with this retreat, because I needed the space to do it. And I don't know, honestly, if I would have done it at home. I think I might have deleted my book.
Well, I think your work was amazing. And I also appreciated the trust of getting a chance to read it.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up. And just a final comment. It was great. I know that we have the privilege to be able to go on a retreat. Not everybody has that, but as Sunny was saying, there's other ways to sort of find community with people that share your common visions and goals. And I think that's great. And hopefully everyone can continue doing that. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Family Writing Journey. And we'll talk to you again next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.